all of us are aware that yes, unfortunately, there was some spikes in the casualties that were recorded, as civilian casualties that were recorded in some areas in the country, particularly Plateau and Benue State. Now, you cannot divorce these incidences with the coming of the rainy season and farming activities that is being conducted there. We expect that during the rainy season and farming activities, there's always clashes within farmers and herders. It's very unfortunate that we have seen a little spike, but I can assure you that particularly in those two states, operations have been geared up and more operations are going to be introduced into those areas. But like I usually tell you, is that to a large extent, most of these criminal elements that are domiciled in most of these local governments and in the states, people see them. And like I told you, if you don't report anything, there's not, we will only be responding. We will only be responding to an incident that's already happened. But if the security architecture in that state is properly synchronized and networked in such a way that prompt information can be given to the military, then we will be proactive in addressing these issues. And I think to a large extent, in answering this madam's question, I think that is the mechanism that has been put in place in the southwest zone of the country. There's a need to extend it to other places. If there's a security net architecture, local architecture, not by military, because we cannot dominate everywhere, it's not possible. But the citizens themselves, who are the victims in most of these things, must be able to put up a fight and bring out a mechanism that they can appropriately give us swift information so that we can respond accordingly. I think things will be much more better for us. Now, the issue of resupply of weapons and ammunition to terrorist elements, gangs, yes, we know what is happening. If you go through the reports we have been finding out over the years, over the period of time now, you notice that weapons are recovered. When weapons are recovered, it's just small amount of ammunition that are recovered too. These people, is obvious they are actually running out of supplies and resupplies. And like we saw in the report, as we get information, we nip it in the bud. Most of their gun runners, most of their collaborators are being arrested with weapons and equally with arms and ammunition and other items which are supposed to be delivered to one or two places. And also to a large extent, we have seen there's some semblance of reduction in their nefarious activities or offensive activities of the criminal element. Now, it is most at times, it is the troops that are on their tail. The only thing now, the only disadvantage now is that they are going after soft targets, which are civilians and farmers in the rural areas, which is very unfortunate. On the Nasarawa incidents, yes, we are aware, and I'm sure that your question is not divorced of the Reuters report that has been written. I want to believe so, because it's not a coincidence. Reuters just released a report on the same incident. We don't know the intention of that report, but it is being looked into. That particular report is being looked into, and the appropriate time, an appropriate response will be given accordingly. Now to the, I think I've relatively answered the question in the southwest zone of the country. Madam, Abi, you are not certified? Huh? Halfway. Okay, let us assume that I've answered that question. Now to, I think even the issue of Plateau. Issue of Plateau State. Yes, you are aware that of recent, we hope that the issue of Plateau will actually be addressed promptly. Of recent, I think the state governor have appointed a retired military general as his senior security advisor of the state. The officer is a seasoned officer which I know personally, and I know that he will work vehemently with Operation Safe Haven and other operations in the Plateau to make sure that this issue in the Plateau is nipped in the bud. We expect that other state governments should equally take a cue from this and see if they can bring in specialists on board who can advise them properly. I think with that we have dislocation of the military apparatus in that country. Like I've been telling you time and time over again, that the military and other security agencies are working round the clock. We are inconveniencing ourselves to ensure that there's peace and security in Nigeria. We cannot beat our chest and tell you that we are perfect human beings, just like every other Nigerian cannot beat his chest and claim to be perfect. Because we draw our forces, members of the armed forces and other civilians, from the same populace, from Nigerians. So they are bound to one or two issues. But the point I'm trying to make here is that it is your responsibilities as Nigerians and members of the press to always support your military. It is your responsibility to support us, irrespective of any divergence view from both within and outside this country. It's your responsibility to continue to support us so that we don't have a dislocation in this country. If there's any dislocation, all of us, each and every one of us, will feel it. I can assure you that one. So it is your responsibility to support us 100%. There's no option about that one. That's just my advice to you. Go to Liberia and Sierra Leone today. Go there and ask of the Nigerian military, and they will continue to tell you what we have done for them. And they will continue to give appreciation to the Nigerian military for what they did in those two countries. So I wonder why we sit down here and every time we just have to castigate us. That is the problem, which is rather unfortunate. If anything happens, all of us here will feel the consequences. I can assure you that one. I think with that, we have come to the end of the briefing. And as usual, we will take our 1 minute silence.